Dogs attacking woman in park. So, at my local off-lead dog park, we have a little bit of a community there. Same people most nights taking their dogs out for a walk. We all know each other and look forward to seeing one another after work. One lady, who we see occasionally, is a vile thing. She will intentionally walk towards the dogs and scream, "Put your dog on a lead," and kick and thrash at the dogs. About 6 months ago, my friend was walking both her elderly dogs through the park alone. She was approached by this vile lady, spat at and racially abused. My friend was shocked and extremely upset by this, and had to be consoled. This afternoon, I was walking through the park with my two dogs. I have the week off work and the weather not great, so not a soul in sight. Until halfway through the park, vile lady walks toward us. My lovely terrier wanders up to say hello, and vile lady starts screaming, kicking and thrashing her shopping bag at my dog. "Get away from me." My dog pauses to evaluate and starts rounding the lady, barking. She thinks it's an game. My other terrier, not wanting to miss out on the fun, runs towards them and joins in with the chasing and barking. I turned my back and walked away, listening to the terrified screams. Editing hate mail. There was this guy who was courting me on my second year, and I thought he was funny and cool, but didn't really want to date him because he had a reputation for being a flirt and cheating on his girlfriends. I've turned him down a few times already, but he was persistent. He ended up stalking me until university. His jealous ex-girlfriend sent me a letter. She had one of her friends pass it along to one of my classmates, and the letter eventually found its way to me. I thought it was going to be a warning about how this guy is a man-war or something. Several girls in my year have received warnings like that, but no, it ended up being a very long letter filled with every insult and curse word she knew. This girl was so mad at me because her ex left her and started pursuing me and accused me of stealing him when I haven't spoken to him outside of me turning him down for the third time that year. This wasn't my first hate mail, but I was getting tired of girls accusing me of stealing their boyfriends when I don't even interact with them. I was very shy and introverted and couldn't understand why boys liked me, because I had very low self-esteem and was suffering through an eating disorder at the time because I hated how my body looked. I decided to write her back and insulted her in a way that she will remember to this day, but doesn't really involve me writing anything bad to her. For context, I live in the Philippines, and while English is the medium of instruction in school, not everyone is good at it. She wasn't good at it. I simply rewrote her letter, but fixed all the spelling and grammatical mistakes and added a note at the end. Peas. I noticed you used "son of a bitch" to describe me, but since I'm female, bitch would have sufficed. Please tell me how else I can help you with English. I personally gave her the letter myself when she and her pack of friends were strutting in the hallway outside my clubroom. I say strutting because one of my classmates noticed them walking past our clubroom several times, pointedly looking at me and huffing. I called out to her on her next parade past our clubroom and handed her the letter with a smile and said in the sweetest voice I could muster, "Thanks for the letter. I hope you like my response." She was taken aback and walked away, and I saw her open the letter with her friends. She burst into tears. This girl avoided me in the hallways through all of high school, and I never got another hate mail from anyone ever again. I did end up with a reputation for being incredibly cruel, even though I simply helped her with her letter. Lol. The age-old fence war with a neighbor. Please forgive my terrible spelling and grammar. I just suck at English. Also, please forgive the formatting. I'm on mobile. For a little backstory, this all began 8 years ago when we first moved into our house. My neighbor, who we promptly nicknamed Bitch Face, instantly hated us. She hates children, and at the time my kids were only 4 and 7 years old. She soon told the entire street we were awful people, isolating us from most from day one. Funny enough though, we've always gotten on with the neighbors in the house the other side of us without any problems. Fast forward a couple of years, I love gardening. I love plants and pottering around. It's great for my anxiety disorder. What's not so great for my anxiety is bitch face. In my country, a 2 meters fence is standard fence height, but our fence, which she claims is jointly owned between us, is only 1.5 meter. She's constantly looking at me, pulling disgusted faces, and making snarky comments. So much maturity for a 60-year-old woman. At this point, I've had enough of her. We give her a choice. We either put up a trellis for a little more privacy on the existing fence, or put a standard fence on our side of the existing fence that is 2 meters tall. She reluctantly chose the trellis. She claims a 2 meters fence would block the sunlight in her garden for sunbathing, but I have been tracking the light levels into our gardens for years. It makes zero difference to her sunbathing. Fast forward to a month ago. This fence she cares so much for, she hasn't touched in the 8 years we've been here. We've reinforced the post on our side and supported it during storms 9 storms 9 ostorms 9 oxstorms 9 ostorms 9 storms. As the posts are rotten, give it a few more storms and it's going to break. Also at this point I have had evergreen shrubs slowly growing up in front of the fence and trellis for 6 years which she has never complained about. We wanted to add more, but wanted to wait until the fence was sorted in case we needed to get to the fence for repairs. We offered to fully pay for a brand new 2 meters fence. She threatened to go to the solicitors. We said fine, keep it. If it breaks she can deal with it. She thought that was the end of it and that she won. That was until yesterday when she saw 2 big 2 meters tall evergreen plants being delivered to our house. To say she was not best pleased would be an understatement. Bitchface stormed out into her garden, shouting over to my dad who was working on replacing our shed roof, "You're not putting those plants in here, are you?" All the while completely ignoring my husband and I who were preparing to put the first plant in. She then says to my dad how we are the nightmare neighbors who basically don't do what she wants. She thinks she's entitled to tell us where we can and can't put in our own garden. She stormed back into her house all defeated. I was shaking with anger, but it felt so good to finally get basic privacy while in my own garden that I very much needed. I'm a little worried what she may do next, so just in case, I'm going to take regular photos of my plants, report any threats to my property, and see if I can get any soil testing kits in case she tries to poison them. I hate that woman, Aida, for telling my sister I won't be playing dad to her third baby. So my 22F sister Iris 38F has 2 daughters 5 and 7. From the time we're born, I've been helping my sister take care of my nieces. Iris has a husband, David. David doesn't do much in raising his daughters, so I have had to pick up his slack since both the kids were born. I think it's important to note that he has a regular 9-5 job at a bank and Iris is a doctor and works double the time he does. I've had to cancel so many plans, trips etc. to take care of my nieces when my sister was busy, but David was available. 90% of the time my sister would call me over to babysit. David would be watching sports or out hanging out with his friends. I didn't have the guts to say anything when I was younger, so I just shut up about it. Now my sister is pregnant with her 3rd child. While I am excited for her, I'm dreading it. The 2 girls are at an age now where it's gotten a bit easier for me to look after them alone. I can't imagine having to take care of 3. I told my sister she's going to have to tell David to step up now that I have a job and not much free time. She said, "What's the point of that comment?" I said I've been doing David's share of parenting for 7 years, so she needs to tell him to do more because I won't be playing dad again. She got really mad at me and said she trusts me to look after my nieces because women are naturally better at it than men, which is why the village just consists of women and girls. I said while I'm happy to be her village, I refuse to be a parent to her kids. She hasn't spoken to me in a week. Entitled mom trying to own my property? This is a very complicated story, and not sure if they are the entitled ones or me. My parents acquired several assets long time ago. At some point they were almost broken due to my mom's bad decisions. In order to protect the assets, the best option was to put everything on my name as I was the only minor at that time in the family. I was not even 10, and there is at least a 10-year gap with my sisters. But my mom, who never wanted to have me, decided that everything should be on my sibling's name. Moving time forward, when I was still underage, my aunt by my dad's side decided to gift him a property, but because she didn't like my mom, the property ended up under my name. There are a couple of stories, not sure which one is true regarding this property. Story 1, my dad's dad bought the property. At some point, he was short of cash, so he asked my dad for money. He did give it to him even if he had several kids and was already married. My mom was not happy about it and my dad's dad could pay the mortgage. Nobody knows if my grandfather returned the money. Some people said that and they took it with Uncle B not married siblings. When my grandfather died, I inherited the property. There were conflicts with the will and later on she gave it to me. Story 2, my dad bought it as a gift to my grandfather when he was still single and no kids. My dad paid the mortgage all his life even after he married my mom and had kids. The property was always on my grandfather's name, and when he died I inherited it and later on she gave it to me. My parents have lived in the property several years. They no longer live there. They have put money onto that and they don't pay rent at all, but they cover the maintenance costs. That was the verbal agreement that I had with them. Now, my sister bought a property badly in the same city. The property is nice, it's just in the same building than her in-laws. She is quite old. And the banks won't give her a mortgage now over 50. Having a property in that building has caused a lot of problems to my sister, and she would like to have a different property so she is no longer too close to her in-laws. On the other hand, my mom has always considered my property as her property, and she wants to give a property in that city to my sister A, but she can't do it because she doesn't have the money to buy another one, and I won't put it on my sister's name. Another agreement is that we will keep whatever is on our name, so I don't get anything but that property which actually comes from A, not my parents. My dad also owns half of another property. My mom tried to buy the rest from B and put it under my sister S.A. name, but B put a very high price. I think he didn't want to sell it like that.